Lenin and the Bolsheviks, Trotsky, Lenin, Stalin, they fucking jumped the gun. They jumped the gun. They should have respected that constituent assembly with Kerensky. Kerensky had a provisional government. Why not have an election? Why not have a democracy? Why not actually, instead of, having elections and having just as many presidents, communist presidents as there are capitalist presidents, instead, we only get like 3 or 4 goddamn communist leaders, and then we get, every 4 years, how many goddamn capitalist presidents are there? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, all of them are capitalist presidents. So therefore, the capitalist, just keeps on churning another leader. If you don't like this one, what about this one? You don't like that one, what about this one? You don't like that one, what about this one? Shit's going to change. Shit's got to change in a couple years, right? The mind of Napoleon. I'm going to read some Napoleon quotes, and then I'm going to talk about goddamn Russia being a cesspool. It was accidentally civilized. This fucking goddamn backwards deranged cesspool. This fucking swampy fucking cesspool. Disgusting, despicable. Goddamn. The Bolsheviks is like the best thing that ever happened to the damn Russians. And the Bolsheviks were one of the worst things that happened to the Russians. Conversation 1817. The French language is not well made. The French language is not a well-made language. I ought to have codified it. Napoleon Bonaparte said, God, the French language is terrible. I should have made some kind of code. This American English, we need to codify this American English too. Good God, how stupid men of letters are. A fellow who is capable of translating a poem is incapable of leading 15 men. I regard scholars and wits the same as coquettish women. One should frequent them and talk with them, but never choose one's wife from among the latter or one's ministers from among the former. I used to like Ossian, but for the same reason, that I like to hear the whisper of the wind and the waves of the sea. His Muhammad is neither a puppet nor an Arab. Conversation 1803. I read everything that is published. My secretary shows it to me every morning with a written report that the things now published are wretched. I am disgusted. What a difference between today's writing and Voltaire. The more I read Voltaire, the better I like him. That man is always reasonable, not a charlatan, not a fanatic. I even like his historical writings a great deal, although they are much criticized. His Pucelle, P-U-C-E-L-L-E, a satirical poem on Joan of Arc is not good for young people to read, but it cheers the mature. Voltaire is for mature people. Until I was 16, I would have fought to the death for Rousseau against all the friends of Voltaire. Today, it's the other way around. I am especially disgusted with Rousseau since I have seen the Orient. Savage man is a dog. We got racist there at the end, didn't he? To come back to Voltaire, it's surprising how little. Conversation 1816. His plays bear reading once his pompous diction and the illusion of the stage no longer impose upon critical analysis and good taste. He immediately loses 1,000%. If Voltaire ruled contemporary opinion, if he were the hero of his age, this is only because it was an age of dwarfs. Chateaubriand is one of those cowards who would spit at a corpse. When Mimi, was it Monsieur de Genlis, wishes to define virtue, she always speaks of it as if she had just discovered it. Letter to Talleyrand. True politics is merely the calculus of combinations and of chances. The policies of all the powers are inherent in their geography. In political administration, no problem is ever simple. It can never be reduced to the question whether a certain measure is good or not. Charlatanism, but of the highest sort. Proclamation to the people of Alexandria, July 2nd, 1798. Thrice blessed those who side with us, blessed those who remain neutral. For in time they shall come to know us. Woe to the madmen who take up arms against us, for they shall perish. Proclamation, Cairo, December 21st, 1798. Sheriffs, ulemas, preachers in the mosque, sheriffs, be sure to tell the people that those who with a light heart take sides against us shall find no refuge in either this world or the next. Is there a man so blind as not to see that destiny itself guides all my operations? Is there any one so unbelieving as to doubt whether everything in this vast universe is subject to the dictates of destiny? Let the people know that from the creation of the world it is written that after destroying the enemies of Islam and beating down the crosses, I was to come from the confines of the Occident to accomplish my appointed task. Show the people that in more than 20 passages of the Holy Quran, what has happened has been foretold, and what shall happen has been explained. Those whom only the fear of our arms prevents from cursing us, let them mend their ways, for in calling to heaven against us, they ask their own damnation. Let the true believers make vows for the success of our arms. If I choose, I could call each of you to account for the most hidden feelings of his heart, for I know everything, even what you have told to no one. But the day will come when all men shall see beyond all doubt that I am guided by orders from above, and all human efforts avail not against me. Blessed are they who in good faith are the first to choose my side. The truly happy man is he who hides from me in a remote province, and when I die, the universe will heave a great sigh of relief. It was charlatanism, but of the highest sort. Remember that the god of war and the god of success are marching alongside me. I got too hot and ended up with a bad phrase. The French have an instinct for what is proper. No sooner had I said those words than a general murmur made me aware of it. But how can it be helped? They spoiled me along the way. They repeated these words so often to me all the way from Marseilles to Paris that the phrase stuck. As soon as a man becomes a king, he is set apart from all other men. I always felt that Alexander the Great's idea of pretending to be descended from a god was inspired by a sheer instinct for real politics. You may also dispense with comparing me to God. I am willing to believe that you wrote this without thinking. The phrase is so singularly lacking in respect to me. God has given me the necessary strength and will to overcome all obstacles. The Austrian army has been struck by the fire of heaven, which punishes the thankless, the unrighteous, and the perfidious. It has been pulverized. In China, the sovereign is adored like a god. That is as it ought to be. That is as it ought to be. Well, we'll talk about the Bolsheviks here in a second. Okay.